Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. Today, I don't know. Maybe this is going to be another funny one. I don't know that it's necessarily going to state my opinions, but I'm probably going to laugh at some of the viewpoints. I guess when I was growing up, we used to call this the battle of the sexes. Or today, it just seems like this insane fiasco with dating that I'm not, I'm not really sure what to do with, but laugh at and be glad that I don't really feel the need to like participate in the whole dating world. Now it's interesting when I remember when I was growing up, we had these Playboys, right? We had the Playboy mansion. Playboy was a big thing. The parties at the Playboy, whatnot. You had these guys that were single and they just had parties with women, and they womanized, and that's what they did. And what's funny to me is whenever I look at the world, and maybe I'm biased, maybe I'm looking in the wrong place and only finding what I want to see because I think it's funny. I don't know. But it seems like this is shifted. We've got this incel epidemic, I guess 30 to 40% of men, depending on what study you look at, like 30 to 40% of men haven't had sex in the last year, if ever. And that's interesting to me. I've not had an experience like that. I'm not even sure I went a year without sex, and the year after my divorce when I was like avoiding dating. I don't know. My experience doesn't match the numbers out there. So I don't know. It's interesting. And it's interesting to me that it seems like women are all doing the, I don't know, masculizing thing. I don't know. What do you call it? Menizing thing? Like, that sounds funny. Menizing. I mean, I don't know. What do you call a woman using a man? I mean, gold digging is what we used to call it. And that's the funny thing, right? Like, this actually makes it look like, with what I see, it looks like every fucking woman out there is a gold digger. Like, no woman's going to settle for somebody. You hear these things, the 6 foot, the 6-pack, and 6 figures. You got to be making 6 figures. So the medium income in America for a person is like, what, 40 something thousand, and somebody's got to be making double that to have a shot with like 60 or 70% of women out there. It seems like, I don't know, maybe it's just the loud ones being annoying on the internet. Maybe that's not the common feeling of women, but it is absolutely insane to me that women think that they're like, I don't know, entitled to $100,000. Like, why? What would make somebody think that they're entitled to somebody else's $100,000 paycheck? Like, how does that work? And then there's this funny question that men have. Well, what do you bring to the table? And then women say shit like, I am the table. I see. So you just want to be a tool that gets used? I mean, are you kind of admitting that all you want is to be somebody's property? I don't understand the answer to that question. Like, why would you say you're a table unless you're saying all I want is to be property? And I thought that was the whole point of how women got here, was they were tired of being treated like property. But now they just want to be the table, and that's all they want to bring to the table is being a piece of furniture. I don't know. And then, I found it was like, there's this whole like other funny thing that I've seen online, this Drizzle thing. Like, you have these videos where women have been talking about like their wish list and whatever their man is and their right to not settle on men. And that's fine. That's fine. And when you get to 45 and realize that nobody's going to live up to the ridiculous standard you've set, well, then you're going to have a problem, aren't you? You're going to have to rethink that. And so women have these standards, and then men will actually make videos saying the same ridiculous shit, and women will fucking berate them over how ridiculous they are. And the whole point is to show off the ridiculousness, while apparently these same women are oblivious to the fact that they're just being mocked. Or maybe that's why they're angry. Maybe they do get it. I don't know. I don't know. The internet's a complicated place, and the reason that people are mad isn't always obvious. But it sure is fun trolling people. Like, that's the whole fun with Drizzle, right? That's just a straight up troll. If you're somebody that has standards that are ridiculous, like, I mean, it's just funny. That would be like me getting on the internet and saying, oh yeah, I want like some knockout 105 pound, like, 24-year-old with like, and just list off every list of perfection while I'm sitting here with teeth like I've got. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I know better. Nobody, like, look, there's just an acceptance that you have to, as transactional as it sounds, relationships are an exchange. You don't want to be in a relationship where you're not getting anything. And most people don't want to be in a relationship where they're not giving, or at least that's the way it used to be. And nowadays, we don't want to give anybody anything. We just all want to take. We're all just greedy, selfish bitches anymore. And we just want what we want, and we blame everybody else for all the other problems. And I don't know. It's just so funny and ridiculous to me how it all plays out. And oh yeah, and every woman apparently now is a 10. So women have no concept, at least women that believe this have no concept in there are differences in the way people appear, and there are differences in what people like to look at and what people find valuable. And it's just weird to me when I literally am watching like on the internet and I'm flipping through like shorts or something, and I come across these women listing off their things, and it's like half the time you're looking at somebody that's like heavier than me. They have makeup caked on so much that you're absolutely sure their face is probably splotchy or spotted or something. And you can see the splotches like in their chest because they're obviously hanging their tits out all the time. And then they say stuff like, well, I'm a 10 and any man would be lucky to be able to like share their $1 million a year income with me. And it's like, there's something people don't understand. The problem with being fat, okay, some people are just grossed out by it. Like a lot of people have their things, but at the end of the day, if you really boil that down, it shows that you're a person that you're not going to take care of yourself in that way. Which then begs the question of what other way are you not taking care of yourself? Because people who don't take care of themselves tend to be mean people because they aren't trying to grow. They aren't trying to put effort into being a good person. They aren't trying to better themselves. And that's one of the reasons that being fat is such a red flag to people. It's not because they're necessarily consciously thinking that, but this gets embedded into our psyche. This gets embedded into like the way we behave, that the reason that a lot of people are unattracted by large people, and this goes for men and women, most people they don't easily go to overweight. Now there's differences, right? Like a little bit of overweight is almost like attractive. It seems like in our society now, like a lot of people don't necessarily seem to want these little, athletic twigs anymore. And I think that there's maybe a lot of reasons for that, but I can't help but see that still, by and large, the very, very large people still get excluded from being, attractive, I guess, in most people's eyes. And I think it's just more that I'm not willing to take care of myself, or there's a health issue. Like, let's be honest, people with health issues are just automatically less attractive. Because do you want to sign up for a relationship with somebody where you're going to have to deal with the work of knowing they're already sick? And knowing they might get sicker in the future, because once somebody has an illness like an autoimmune disease or something like we have, the chances they'll have more is more. And so is it really wrong to be turned off by some of those things? Well, I don't know. I'm not here to judge that. I don't really care. But it is interesting how all of this plays into everything. And it is interesting that there are women that are patently outside of traditional attractiveness, and they'll literally declare themselves a 10 and then argue with you if you say, yeah, but you're standing next to this supermodel, and obviously every 99 out of 100 men are going to be more attracted to that model than somebody large with other problems and things going on. Like they're just people that are less attractive, and that's okay. Like, we shouldn't be judging each other on attractiveness, but it is fascinating that when you have some of these problems, you also seem to have some of these other problems. Like Like when you see somebody who is overweight, how many overweight people do you know that are nice? Now, don't get me wrong, some of the nicest people I've known have been overweight, but that was a long time ago. It's been a long time since I've known somebody that I would say is more kind than average or more kind than normal who's overweight. I really can't think of the last time that I saw that. Now, part of that is I just don't really see many people that are nicer than average kindness. It's a problem, but it is interesting that we have these perceptions. Like, I don't know, maybe that's all it is. Maybe it's just a perception. Maybe I'm talking out my ass, and maybe if I sat down and thought about it, I'd come up with a different conclusion. I don't know. But it's just fascinating, the expectations that we have without self-reflection. Like I don't know, maybe once upon a time I was maybe I don't know, attractive enough to, to do whatever I would, but my teeth started falling out. I got, overweight, I've got other health problems that nobody's going to want to, deal with and whatnot. And yet even with that, I guess I still don't really have that much trouble with finding people, but I think that's more that it's because I am a good communicator and I am kind, and I think that makes me desirable despite other shortcomings. Because while I can't look, I don't do the dating profile thing. I don't really I've talked about it before. I don't really like the image medium. So that's all. I don't know. I guess dating apps just feel like meat markets to me. You post a picture of what meat you're selling and you look for meat you want to buy, and hopefully you can find something to hook up. And I've met a few people through dating, through dating apps, but I don't know. I have a much better time in person, going somewhere and striking up a conversation with somebody, and doesn't usually take too much effort to, start getting that starry-eyed look out of women. I don't know. It is what it is. And I think it's my kindness. I think it's my intelligence. I think it's my openness. I think it's the fact that I'm, I'll show interest in other people, which is another thing that we see failing today. And so I think that a lot of these problems start boiling down to another video I was just recently talking about, where maybe it's just the fact that we're at a point where we're lacking kindness, we're lacking empathy, we're lacking basic human courtesy. And because of that, who would like us? Why would we like somebody that doesn't lead with empathy and love and kindness? Why would we do that? And if everybody's going on a first date going, what can I get out of this? Well, then nobody's leading with love and kindness. And if nobody's leading with love and kindness, nobody's going to have a reason to like you. And so, of course, dates are going to go terrible. But if you lead with love and kindness and the other person doesn't lead with love and kindness, then you have a situation where until you actually get far enough into it to see whether or not they are a decent person, you're kind of along for a ride of probably just being abused by some prick. And who wants to do that? So if you're actually a genuine, kind, caring person and you've been burned by enough of these people that are just insane, of course you're going to want to be out. And we have it's really fun. It's kind of really interesting in our society today. We have it seems to me a rampant return of misogyny. And we also have this introduction of androgyny as well. There are women out there that just hate men for no good reason. Well, okay. I won't say that it's for no good reason. I think that a lot of women that fall into this camp were hurt by men, or they were told by men to be scared of men. And that was they were abusively treated, that men are to be feared, rather than the reality that it's not likely that I'm not going to say there's no risk. There are people out there that hit each other. Their domestic violence is real. But the truth of the matter is that the stats show that women are more engaged in domestic violence today than men are. Lesbian couples have the highest rate of domestic violence, and homosexual male couples have the lowest rate of domestic violence of all the different kinds of household makeups that we see. That is the truth. And the heterosexual relationship is somewhere in the middle. The current stats as far as policing go say that men are the aggressors in those relationships, but most research I've read says that men aren't listened to. Men aren't like the police won't file reports when men are being abused. When men are taking the abuse, they're basically ignored. And that's really interesting because we had this whole like Me Too movement where women, they got into, they were mad because they wouldn't get believed about allegations of people assaulting them. And men are kind of in the same boat now. And it's kind of interesting that that's also flipped. Like it's just amazing to me how many of these things in society have either flipped or at least become a both sides problem. Because I'm not going to say that it's completely flipped, but the evidence is showing that the women are the violent ones. The women are the ones that are actually causing these problems. And what do we do with that when, like, men are just tired of being abused, I think. And I think, and that's another stat, right? That there's a huge portion of men that aren't even, like, they aren't interested in dating. And I want to say that that's like 40 to 60% I've seen in studies. Like 40 to 60% of single men are not looking for a relationship. They don't want a relationship. What does that tell you about their experience with women? I'm not saying women are bad, but I'm telling you, if 40 to 60% of men are choosing to opt out, somebody's having an experience with women that something's going on. And why is that? And I don't know. I don't have these answers. I do know that both sides like pointing the finger at the other side. Women say it's men say it's women. I say it's all of us being too irresponsible. I say that it's all of us failing at kindness. I say it's all of us choosing to live in a state of fear and division rather than a state of trust and unity. I think these are all decisions that we have to make. And the problem is even if we make the right decisions, we can't make everybody else make those decisions. So what do we do? Like, what if you're someone like me? What if you are really seriously trying to better yourself? What if you do take great care to be a good person? And time again, you try to share that with somebody, and time again, they use you, or they abuse you, or they mistreat you, or they don't show basic respect. I mean, man, it's just such a wild place. And then from this, men and women are having a harder time than ever getting along, it seems. And in the meantime, we've got this, like, I don't know, this birth rate crisis that they are talking about. Like, if we can't figure out how to start fucking again, we might end up, like, collapsing society, because infrastructure takes bodies to maintain. Once you build all this, you've got to keep it up somehow or it starts crumbling. Like, there are cities where the city just falls apart because, like, their main manufacturing goes away. Everybody moves out of the city, and you only have like half of the residents, and everything starts crumbling. The businesses start dying. A lot of houses get left vacant, can't be sold, or, I mean, it gets crazy. And so if we can't get along, are we looking at the collapse of society? Are we looking at 2030? Like, could we just in a generation or two reduce the birth rate so much that we can't fill the like, our society kind of depends on constant growth. We need to be growing more for the way we build to be sustainable. And what if the battle of the sexes turns out to be the thing that ends the world? How crazy would that shit be? Anyway, I don't know if this is all that useful. It was a little funny to examine and talk about, and I really, I'm not looking to blame anybody, but I just think it's amusing to talk about. I think it's funny to talk about, and I guess with that, be well.